Today is Arbor Day, and we started at Northside Prep, and we had a huge group of young people and volunteers from Bank of America, volunteers from Dominic's, and we had the beekeepers there. We had the Nature Committee there, all about it's along the Chicago River and how they're planting trees, how they're planting gardens for not only for wildlife, migratory birds, everything in regard to everything they do. They have a marine classroom there, teaching all about the quality of water, which is really important, from the Chicago River to the lake, and how important water is, marine life, to our nature. It's the only classroom in the state of Illinois, so really a top school. And then going over to Wells Park and seeing many people there and what they've accomplished. But most importantly, coming here because the lakefront, when you think of the Burnham plant, what visionaries we had who decided the only city in the world that has really a lakefront, in most cities destroy their lakefront and riverfront. Just think the Burnham plant said that this is going to be for the entire life of a city. The lakefront will be fully protected. Boy, we're really thankful for that, because could you see all high-rises along here? Could you see all the changing like most cities have done? And you go to other cities and they just lost the lakefront. But we have accomplished rebuilding the lakefront, expanding the lakefront, better opportunities. But most importantly, this wonderful Bill Jarvis Migratory Bird Sanctuary. And Charlotte Neufeld is the steward of that and a lot of other issues. And all the volunteers mean so much. And so when you think about the migratory bird habitat along the lakefront and the river in all different parts of the city, it's not just along the lakefront. And so the ecosystem dealing with ponds, wetlands, forests, accomplishment. When at first we expanded from 5.5 acres to 9 acres. And I want to thank all the people who eliminated the invasive species, planting native shrubs and pruning and mulching, all the things go in it. It started in 1923. What a great history. When the Chicago Park District set aside 5.5 acres just east of Addison Street as a bird sanctuary, wildflower preserve. And then from there, how it's matured. But most importantly, the volunteers. We have them all along the lakefront. Now we have one south of McCormick Place, that wonderful bird sanctuary. And then we built another little nature area. We have the largest bee colony system in the country right there. And we have all the bird beekeepers that have worked very hard on behalf of us. I just received a bottle of wine dealing with the bee honeys here, the farms here all along Michigan Avenue. Would you believe that? And so it's the only wine operation in the city of Chicago. And it's from bees, and these are interesting people. I like people like that. You know, really, who are they? I like these people. So it was amazing. They gave me 2 bottles of wine. I'll tell you how it tastes. I think it's going to be very well. But the president was in town, and when we landed near Soldier Field, and the first thing I talked about are bird sanctuaries. He's going, what's going? And I talked about beehives, and I talked about the number of falcons and hawks that we want to bring, and how important nature is, and all along, not just a lake, but along railroad tracks and those small little parcels, how we gather in parks, making nature areas instead of just one big park, and make little nature areas. Tim Mitchell's heard this 1,000 times from me. We have to separate the park nature areas, recreation areas, so we can really have a park system that just isn't wide open space and a lot of grass. You know, that is not native to us, and especially grass. And so after that, I started talking about those issues, and I talked about how Green Corps is rebuilding the lives of people. I call them reentry, not an ex-offender. That's a stamp on someone's back. Reentry. People have fallen. Okay, they come out. We have to help them. And how many we've helped? It's the largest reentry program in the country. These are men and women that want to change their lives around, but they need direction, discipline, they need a job. And Green Corps has been doing that tremendously all over the city. And I mean, these people are tremendous workers. I mean, when you meet with them, you are amazed at what they've accomplished. And so we had the U.S. Department of Forest Service there. They're giving grants for front and backyard dealing with planting trees and front and backyards, and how important when houses face east and west and protected, you can cut your energy costs down and all that. So U.S. Forest Service has been a great ally. U.S. Department of HUD, Department of Housing, has been working with us all over the city to really provide that. Also provide grants for collecting water, rain barrels in homes and all that. So it's really a very holistic approach to us. The tree Initiative is sponsored by both non-for-profit and for-profit organizations. The more and more trees we plant in Chicago, we reduce air quality, we make the air quality much better. We also protect stormwater, things like that, which is really important. On McCormick Place, we collect 55 million gallons of rainwater, but this year I think we had more. I'll be very frank. And just think that rainwater used to go in the combined watering system. You have to use more cost for energy and clean it. All that rainwater goes right into the lake. And that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that we do collect rainwater. It doesn't go on the combined water system. You'll save an enormous amount of money. And basically, that is the whole key of what we're trying to do. The shoreline protection is really important because shoreline was built in 1910 and 1931. And so that we have completed 6 miles of the 8-mile project. It's very costly. The federal government has worked very closely with us. We've added more than 22 acres of parkland along the lakefront. 31st Street Beach, we tripled the size and we created a new 6-acre park at 40th and the lake there. That is amazing, creating new parks. And when you go south, there's areas, of course, north of the island. I love that. I don't care what people tell me. That's over almost 100 acres of open space, and you should go out there. Take your bike out there, get out there, and you go all the way on the south end, and you look back, and you see a wonderful nature preserve. It is fabulous. So I just want to make sure that is in there. We looked at other spaces along the lake and how you can build out and really make wonderful parks. You know, when you think about, we would never had a lot of this land when you go up near Hollywood because you know, they could have said, well, we don't want this. We don't want parkland in front of us. And so if we did that, you would not have parkland. If people said, well, this is my lakefront. This is mine. I own it personally. You don't. And so that's one thing. It's very controversial going from Hollywood up to Evanston. I'd be very frank. If we don't complete that with a huge 100-acre park or something, we are denying all those people in Rogers Park. You can see what it's done here. I mean, that is the idea. The whole idea of rebuilding that would be a fabulous thing for the community, but it's very controversial. And so someday I hope people realize that would be a great asset for the completion. And out south, we've taken all the way Southworks. We're building a park system there with housing behind it and commercial property, but all along all beautiful parkland along Southworks. It's really, really important. That completes the phase of going out all the way to Calumet Park. And from us, that is what the lakefront should be enjoyed to. We're building a bike path across bridge across Chicago River. I'm a biker. We have to get him. I've been on this for a long time. Safety first. And so Tim knows that. We finally worked that out in getting people. But the shoreline was important to protect our wonderful lakefront. And all the undertaking, all the different projects in the community here, which is really important. And the Alderman's been at the forefront of dealing with parks in Clarendon, Challenger, Montrose Beach, Gill Park, all these. Constructing ADA is very important for parks because we built parks years ago without understanding people with disabilities. And so you have to make sure that for children and everybody else, it's accessible into parks, the small playgrounds, around of course, the schools. She's been at the forefront of rebuilding all those campus parks. Put greenery around the school. Let the children be the keepers of their environment around the school. And then you teach them how important the environment is. And Helen Shiller has been in the forefront working with all the schools, both public and any private schools as well. The Chicago Park District acquired 1.23 acres of land in Lincoln Park to expand Montrose Beach, develop state-of-the-art recreation facility facilities, and that's what we look on going south along between the about 31st Street to 47th Street. I know it by heart. Between going west between Lakeshore Drive and the railroad, we have a piece of property, and we make that a nature area. You know, it's some of it's as wide as this, and some much wider. And so just the idea of preserving that land and just not discarding it, cleaning out invasive species, making sure that it's a nature area, which that and along railroad tracks. You know, I look at these things. He said, let's take that piece of strip and make that a little nature area. Let's protect it. Just put a small little fence around it, call it a nature area, a tree area, and people understand what the environment's all about. I could go on talking about all these things. So, you know, the streetscape program has been important on Broadway, and the whole idea of having the idea, instead of having huge streets, and take the medians and put trees and new lighting and flower baskets, kind of, you know, freshen it up instead of having, you know, just sidewalks and cars and that's it. And so I've always said you can calm down the motorists and you can rebuild the environment and also help the businesses there. And that's one thing we have done. When you think in the 46th ward, this is unbelievable. 100% of the residential streets within 46th Ward have been relamped in the last 15 years. Approximately 80% are arterial streets, and that's because of Helen, right there. Now, those are those are things that are important. You know, I mean, people want to make sure they have safety, and that the other thing is we lower the street lights. One of my pet peeves has always been is, how do they put the street lights so high and they put these beautiful trees, as they keep growing, we keep chopping them apart. And I said, why don't you just lower the lights and allow the trees to grow above the lights, and then you bring a canopy across residential streets. And so that's one thing we've convinced all the engineers: lower the lights, allow the trees to grow. You don't have to spend a lot of money on just cutting the trees. Well, they have to get the light through. And we have a beautiful tree, and so that's one thing we've accomplished in the forestry department and with the engineers dealing with that. And of course, the Chicago Public Schools, all the additions they have made up here in the schools, and Helen's been in the forefront of that, and making sure that we construct 2 campus parks and doing additions and remodeling of many of the schools, which are really important. And Truman College, upgrade $5.5 million, you know, really redoing a lot of the recreation facilities in that. And the Larry McEwen Administrative Building in the south end was really important. We have a parking deck, which is room for 1,100 cars. And I have to give credit to the alderman here, because she stood fast about how important the city colleges is. Branch libraries, from Uptown Branch Library, really important libraries are the key. The Workforce Center, a variety of job seekers. And we have to provide people with skills to get the jobs that are necessary. And Truman College is a great satellite for seniors, and also getting people prepared for these new jobs, especially in technology. And that's one thing we have to realize: City College is a great asset, and we have to provide that, especially for people who need the skills. One of the best things was Wilson Yard, very controversial, but think a mixed-use community anchors. And a lot of people didn't want mixed use; they only wanted one use. It couldn't be a viable community if you didn't have mixed use. And Helen took a lot of heat on that. People didn't like it, but I'd be very frank, she was right. The whole idea of mixed use is important. She's renovated over 700 affordable housing units. She's provided also the condo units. You know, people lost value in that, and if no one lives in those condo units, it really loses real estate value. And she's worked a real good program out of first-time home buyers purchasing 97 affordable condo units at market rate developments, which is really important. Otherwise, the rest of the condo would lose value completely, and it empties out real quickly. And so again, she had the foresight of doing that, dealing with senior housing, which is really important, and look at families that are struggling and making sure they can have decent quality housing in a community. And what this is all about a commitment of vision, and not accepting something of the past, and always looking to the future. And that's what Helen has done for her career. And I say she's been a public servant. She serves the people, and that's a great word to use. She's not entitled to anything. She never thought that anyone who works in government are entitled to anything. She firmly believed that you serve the public, and there's different ideas how to get there. But at all times, at all times, I believe, in her career, that there was one reason why she was doing things, what was good for her community in the city. And that's the only thing. There was nothing else about anything with Helen Shiller. It was what is good not only for my community, but I believe good for the city. And that is strong woman that believes in that. And I thank her for helping me as mayor over 22 years. And sometimes it's kind of bumpy roads, you know. It was like, but it was all worth getting there. And then all of a sudden we worked together and everybody's saying, well, what happened to the two of them? Well, she's educated me. How about that? And she educated me on becoming a better mayor. Thank you, Helen.